In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear.
A teenager is behind bars accused of shooting and killing another teen in Clayton County. It happened on Wentworth Avenue in Ellenwood.
Taylor Hamilton died in the hospital a short time later.
In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Taylor Hamilton was 16 years old, a sophomore at Booker T. Washington High School in Clayton County, Georgia. And let me tell you something, this wasn't just some kid getting by. Taylor was pulling straight A's. Her teachers loved her. Her principal knew her by name. She was in the Junior ROTC program, showing up in that uniform, learning discipline, learning leadership, doing everything right. But beyond all the academics and the structure, Taylor had a heart for animals. She talked about becoming a veterinarian one day, spending her life taking care of creatures that couldn't speak for themselves. Her friends described her as a big sister type, the kind of person who looked out for people, who nurtured the people around her. She wasn't in the streets. She wasn't getting into trouble. She was building a future. Her mother, Nandy Hamilton, raised her in a stable home. There was structure. There was love. There were expectations. Taylor wasn't a kid slipping through the cracks. She was seen. She was supported. She was on the right path, doing exactly what she was supposed to be doing. But in the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, something heavy landed on Taylor's shoulders. Her boyfriend died. We don't know all the details, but we know it hit her hard. Grief doesn't have a timeline, especially not for a 16-year-old. She was vulnerable, emotionally raw, trying to make sense of loss while still showing up to school, still trying to live her life, still trying to be normal. That vulnerability, that pain, would be used against her. Thanksgiving Day, 2025. Taylor did what a lot of teenagers do on the holidays. She visited friends. She enjoyed the day. She made plans to head to her father's house later that evening. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a regular holiday. Around 6:15 in the evening, she's standing outside on the 3000 block of Wentworth Avenue in Ellenwood, waiting for her Uber. It's a quiet street, suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where people feel safe. She's got her earbuds in, probably scrolling on her phone, just trying to get from point A to point B. It was a normal night. No reason to expect danger, but danger was coming. While Taylor's standing there waiting, a group of teenagers shows up. We don't know if they were just walking by or if they came looking for her specifically, but what happens next is crystal clear. They start taunting her. And not just regular teenage back and forth. They bring up her boyfriend's death. They throw it in her face, mocking her grief, targeting the one thing that was tearing her apart inside. Like, let's pause right there for a second. You're 16 years old. You're mourning somebody you cared about, somebody who meant something to you. And a group of kids decides to make fun of it, to weaponize your pain for their entertainment. That's not just mean. That's cruel. That's calculated. That shows you just how cold teenagers can be when empathy goes out the window. Taylor didn't back down. She didn't run. She stood there and took it. And when one of them, 15-year-old Adonis Al-Karim, pulled out a gun, she didn't flinch. Witnesses say she looked right at him and said, "I don't care about no gun." 5 words. That's all she got out before he fired. 1 shot, 1 bullet, and Taylor fell. The doorbell camera on a nearby house captured the whole thing. The group approaching, the gun coming out, Taylor's response, the shot, her collapse. It's all there, frame by frame, a record of how fast life can end. There was no fight, no physical altercation, no weapon in Taylor's hands, just words, a gun, and a boy who decided to pull the trigger. The other teens scattered. Adonis ran. Neighbors came outside. Somebody called 911, and Taylor Hamilton, honor student, future veterinarian, 16-year-old girl with her whole life ahead of her, lay bleeding on the pavement. Paramedics arrived within minutes. They worked on her right there at the scene, then rushed her to the hospital, doing everything they could to save her. But the damage was done. The bullet had torn through her body, and there was no coming back from it. Taylor was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Her mother, Nandy Hamilton, got the call while she was at home. Taylor has been shot. That's how she found out. No warning, no preparation. Just those 4 words that every parent dreads. She rushed to the hospital, praying the whole way. Please, God, let Taylor be okay. But when she got there, it was already too late. Nandy Hamilton told the media later,
"I'm holding up and just taking everything one day at a time."
Girl, imagine that. Imagine having to say those words on camera about your own child. She said,
Teen.
How could you be that
talking about the person who took her daughter's life. Nandi lost her daughter on Thanksgiving, a day that's supposed to be about gratitude, about family, about being together. Now, for the rest of her life, that holiday will be marked by death. She'll never sit down to another Thanksgiving dinner without thinking about that call, that hospital, that moment she learned her baby was gone. She told reporters,
It's very, very sad for me.
And for what? What did Taylor do to deserve this? She stood on a sidewalk. She waited for a ride. She refused to be intimidated. And a 15-year-old boy with a gun decided that was enough reason to kill her. Make it make sense. So now we gotta talk about the person who pulled that trigger, Adonis Al-Karim, 15 years old. And because of the severity of what he did, authorities decided to charge him as an adult. But here's the thing. We don't know much about Adonis. His background, his family life, his history, most of that hasn't been made public. What we do know is that on Thanksgiving night, he had access to a gun, a 15-year-old with a firearm, and that raises a whole lot of questions. Where did he get it? Who gave it to him? Was it stolen? Was it sitting unsecured in somebody's house? Did an adult put that weapon in his hands? Or did he take it himself? We don't have those answers yet, but we need them. Because a child doesn't just wake up one day with a gun. Somebody, somewhere, failed in keeping that firearm out of his reach. Adonis was arrested and hit with multiple charges. Malice murder, meaning the prosecution believes he intended to kill Taylor. First-degree child cruelty, because the victim was a minor and the crime was particularly brutal. Possession of a firearm by someone under 16, which is illegal in Georgia. And possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, which adds even more weight to the case. The courts are treating him like an adult. That means if he's convicted, he's looking at serious time. Not juvenile detention, not a slap on the wrist. We're talking about the kind of sentence that could put him away for decades. But even with all those charges, there are still gaps in the story. We don't know what his relationship was with Taylor, if any. We don't know if this was retaliation, peer pressure, or something else. We don't know his mental state, his behavioral history, or what was going on in his life that led to this moment. What we do know is that on November 27, 2025, He made a choice, and that choice took a life. After Taylor was pronounced dead, Clayton County Police immediately got to work. And let me tell you something, they had a lot to work with. This wasn't one of those cases where detectives are scrambling for leads or begging the public for information. They had witnesses, they had video, they had evidence. The first thing investigators did was lock down the scene on Wentworth Avenue. They photographed everything, measured everything, documented the exact position where Taylor fell, where the shooter stood, where the other teenagers were positioned. They looked at distances between houses, sidewalks, parked cars, streetlights. They needed to understand the layout, the visibility, how everything went down. Then came the ballistic evidence, shell casings, bullet fragments, the gun itself. Investigators collected all of it, piece by piece. Forensic teams analyzed the trajectory of the bullet, figuring out the angle, the distance, the entry point. All of that data would later back up what the witnesses said and what the camera showed. And speaking of that camera, girl, that doorbell footage became the centerpiece of this entire investigation. That doorbell camera didn't just catch bits and pieces, it caught everything. Investigators went through that footage minute by minute, frame by frame. They could see the group of teenagers walking up to Taylor. They could see the interactions, the gestures, the body language. They could see the exact moment Adonis pulled out the gun. They could see Taylor's reaction, and they could see the shot. The audio was just as important. Analysts isolated voices, matched them to individuals. They heard the taunts about Taylor's dead boyfriend. They heard her response, "I don't care about no gun." They heard the gunshot, all of it captured, all of it evidence. But it wasn't just that one camera. Investigators pulled footage from other homes in the neighborhood, street cameras, any vehicle dash cams that might have been in the area. They wanted multiple angles, multiple perspectives, to build the most complete picture possible. And all of that footage backed up the same thing. This was a senseless killing. Police didn't stop at video evidence. They talked to everybody. Friends who were with Taylor that night, neighbors who saw or heard something, other teenagers who were part of that group. Each person was interviewed, their statements documented, their positions on the street noted. Taylor's friends had to relive that moment, watching their friend get shot, watching her fall. Imagine being 16 years old and having to give a statement to police about your friend's murder. That kind of trauma doesn't just go away. Neighbors described what they heard, the commotion, the gunshot, the screaming, people running, and then the sirens. Investigators also talked to people in Adonis's social circle, other teens who knew him. They wanted to know if anyone saw him with a gun before that night, if anyone knew what he was planning, if there was any warning sign that got missed. And they talked to family members on both sides. Nandy Hamilton had to sit down and answer questions about her daughter while she was grieving. Adonis's family had to reckon with the fact that their 15-year-old was being charged with murder. The medical examiner's office conducted a full autopsy on Taylor. They confirmed the trajectory of the bullet. They established time of death. They documented every injury. This wasn't just about what happened. It was about proving exactly how it happened in a way that would hold up in court. Forensic analysts also examined the gun, where it came from, how it got into Adonis's hands. That was still being investigated. But what they could confirm was that this was the weapon used to kill Taylor Hamilton. Ballistics matched. The evidence was solid. Even with all that evidence, there were still gaps. And some of those gaps were big. The motive wasn't entirely clear. Was this about Taylor's boyfriend? Was there bad blood between them that nobody knew about? Was it peer pressure? Adonis trying to prove something in front of the other teens? Or was it just a moment of cruelty that escalated way too far? The gun's origin was another question mark. Georgia doesn't have strong laws around securing firearms. An estimated 54% of gun owners in the state don't lock up their weapons properly. That means millions of kids live in homes with loaded, unlocked guns just sitting around. Did Adonis take the gun from his own house? From a relative's house? Did somebody give it to him? These are answers investigators were still working to find. And then there's the question of the other teenagers. Did they know Adonis had a gun? Did they encourage what happened? Were they just bystanders or were they participants? The law would have to sort that out. But regardless of what we don't know, what we do know is this. A 15-year-old had access to a firearm, and a 16-year-old is dead because of it. Adonis Al-Karim was arrested shortly after the shooting. He didn't put up a fight. Police took him into custody, and because of the severity of the charges, he was processed as an adult. The prosecution came prepared. They had the doorbell camera footage. They had witness testimony. They had forensic evidence linking the gun to the crime. They had Taylor's last words on record. The case against Adonis was strong, very strong. The charges were serious: malice murder, first-degree child cruelty, possession of a firearm by a minor, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. If convicted on all counts, Adonis was looking at spending most, if not all, of his life behind bars. The defense would likely argue that he's a child, that his brain isn't fully developed, that he was influenced by his environment, his peers, his circumstances. They might bring up mental health. They might try to paint him as a victim of his own upbringing. But none of that changes the fact that Taylor Hamilton is dead. The trial process would involve pre-trial hearings, motions, legal arguments over evidence. The doorbell footage would be shown in court. Witnesses would testify. Nandi Hamilton would probably have to sit in that courtroom and relive the worst day of her life all over again. And at the end of it all, a jury would have to decide, is a 15-year-old boy capable of malice murder? Can a child commit an act so intentional, so deliberate, that he deserves to be punished as an adult? The courts said yes. Now it's up to the legal system to follow through. Here's the thing, though. Taylor Hamilton's death isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern. And if we don't talk about that pattern, we're missing the point. In Georgia, firearms are the leading cause of death among children and teenagers ages 1 to 17. Let that sink in. Not car accidents, not illness, guns. Between 2014 and 2023, the gun death rate in Georgia increased by 36%. In 2023 alone, the state reported over 2,000 gun deaths. A significant portion of those involved kids under 18. And it's not just intentional shootings. From 2015 to 2023, there were 194 incidents in Georgia where a child under 18 unintentionally fired a loaded gun, leading to injury or death. 2023 was the worst year on record. Georgia is among the worst affected states in the country. So when we talk about how Adonis got that gun, we're not just talking about one kid. We're talking about a systemic problem. 54% of gun owners in Georgia don't secure their weapons. That means guns are sitting in homes, loaded, unlocked, accessible, and kids are finding them. Georgia doesn't have strong child access prevention laws. There's no penalty for a gun owner if a child gets a hold of their firearm and hurts somebody. There's no legal requirement to lock guns up. There's no accountability, and because of that, kids keep dying. Research shows that when teenagers have easy access to guns, especially when they're dealing with trauma, grief, or peer pressure, the risk of violence goes up. Way up. Taylor had just lost her boyfriend. She was emotionally vulnerable. Adonis had access to a firearm. You put those two things together in a moment of conflict, and this is what happens. Communities like Ellenwood, like Clayton County, like neighborhoods all across Georgia, they don't have enough mental health resources. There aren't enough grief counselors. There aren't enough youth programs to catch kids before they fall through the cracks. And when you combine that with easy access to guns, you get tragedies like this. Taylor Hamilton was 16 years old. She had a future. She had dreams. She had people who loved her. And on Thanksgiving night, all of that was taken away because a 15-year-old boy had a gun. Her mother, Nandi, is left planning a funeral instead of Christmas. She's left with memories instead of milestones. No prom, no graduation, no wedding, no grandkids, just a gravestone and a doorbell camera video that she'll never be able to unsee. And Adonis Al-Karim, whether he spends the rest of his life in prison or not, he's got to live with what he did. He's got to wake up every day knowing he took somebody's life. He's got to carry that weight. And so does his family. But beyond the two families destroyed by this, there's a community that's traumatized. There are students at Booker T. Washington High School who lost a classmate. There are friends who watched it happen. There are neighbors who heard the gunshot. All of them are changed by this. Taylor's story is a reminder that gun violence doesn't just affect the person who gets shot. It ripples. It touches everyone around it. And until we start treating gun access, youth mental health, and community safety as the urgent issues they are, stories like Taylor's will keep happening, period.